Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, and in today's session we will be discussing about the chemical properties of aldehydes and ketones. This is the fourth lecture on the chemical properties of aldehydes and ketone, and in today's session we will be discussing about oxidation of carbonyl group. Now, oxidation of carbonyl group can be carried out in the presence of number of oxidizing agents. So, if we are talking about aldehydes, aldehydes can be easily oxidized to acid. And what are the common oxidizing agents, children, we use? We can use either HNO3, we can use potassium permanganate, or we can also use potassium dichromate. Okay, these are quite strong. These are the common oxidizing agents, right? Acidified or alkaline medium we can be using for potassium dichromate and potassium permanganate. And for aldehydes, instead of using these, we can also use mild oxidizing agents. Which mild oxidizing agents we are talking about? We can use Tollens reagent. What is Tollens reagent? We will be discussing just now. We can use Fehling's solution, Fehling's reagent or Fehling solution. Both would be fine. Okay, so aldehydes can be oxidized to carboxylic acid in the presence of either these, which are the common oxidizing agents, or in the presence of mild oxidizing agent. So generally, if I have to write, I may write RCHO can get oxidized to form RCOOH. Okay, now first thing is, there is one reason question asked: why ketones? Why ketones? They cannot be oxidized easily. They cannot be oxidized easily. Or in other words, a question can be asked this way: ketones can be oxidized only under vigorous conditions. They can be oxidized only under vigorous conditions. Or it can be even given like this: to oxidize them, high temperatures, elevated temperatures are required. So it can be asked, they cannot be oxidized easily, or ketones can be oxidized only under vigorous conditions. That is, you can say here, that is strong oxidizing agent and at elevated temperatures. So for this, what you will write? You will take example of some ketone. Say we are taking RCH2, C double bond O, CH2 and R dash. Why I have taken separately? Such to distinguish between them. Okay. Now, what happens in ketone is, what answer you will write down? Why this cannot be done easily? Why it is to be done only in the presence of strong and elevated temperatures? In ketones, it also involves the carbon-carbon cleavage. So when it involves this cannot be done at normal temperature. This cannot be done with the normal oxidizing agent. So why it needs this? You will write down: because ketones also involve carbon-carbon bond breaking, which can be done only at higher temperature. Okay, now when this is subjected to oxidation in the presence of strong oxidizing and elevated temperatures, when this is breaking, there are number of possibilities of the products, and the products which you are getting will be of course acid, but the acids will not be having, none of the acid will be having same number of the carbon atom as the parent chain. Why? Because suppose I consider this breaking, that means this place the bond is breaking. When this place the bond breaks, you will have one product, this carbon acid, and another product will be this acid. That means you will have R, and this will be written as COOH, and this side R dash, this will be CH2, this will be COOH. That is, this is the one possibility. This is one possibility. If the bond breaks from here, this is one product, this is a second product. If the bond breaks from here, that is the second possibility of the bond breaking, then you will have one product from here, that is R dash CH2 COOH. No, it will be R dash COOH. Yeah, that's what I was wondering, how come it is becoming same. Let me write down the product once again. It will be RCOOH. It will be R dash COOH. This is one possibility that you can remove it. It will be R dash COOH, and the second product will be from this side. The second product will be R. This is CH2. This is COOH. I hope you have followed it because I just rubbed in between. If this side the bond is breaking, you will have RCOOH. This CH2 will change to COOH. And this side R dash CH2 COOH. Consider this bond breaking. So this side acid, this side acid. If the bond breaks from here, R dash COOH and RCH2 COH. You will get mixture of the product. So by breaking this bond, you are getting these two products. By breaking, so all possibilities you are getting. You will get number of the possible products in this. Please note down whatever we have discussed just now. First thing, aldehydes can be oxidized easily. These are the common oxidizing agents. These are mild oxidizing agents. Aldehydes get oxidized to acid with the same number of carbon atom. Ketones cannot be done easily. Why? Because it also involves carbon-carbon bond breaking. And what are the possible products when particular ketone undergoes oxidation in the presence of the oxidizing agent? Now, let's talk about if we are using mild oxidizing agents, then what? Yeah, first we are talking about Tollens reagent. Now, what is Tollens reagent? Tollens reagent is ammonical silver nitrate solution. Ammonical silver nitrate solution. Ammonical means ammonium hydroxide. Ammonium hydroxide, and this is silver nitrate. Right? Now, when we are mixing the two, they react and then they form a addition product. A complex compound is formed. So the two will react and it results in the formation of AgNH3 taken twice. Okay, the first thing is these two will react and it will form silver oxide Ag2O, that will further react with the excess of ammonia solution and it will form this. That means this is Tollens reagent. This is Tollens reagent, ammonical silver nitrate, and then they are reacting and it is forming this particular complex. Now in this we will be only utilizing this first part, that is the cation part, in writing the equation. Now what exactly happens in the equation is, we take aldehyde, say RCHO, learn systematically, then it is not at all difficult. And this is treated with the Tollens reagent, which has formed AgNH3 taken twice. You'll write on plus. When you balance it, children, you'll get this as 2. And the reaction is in the presence of basic medium. We have already added ammonia solution, right? So this is 3 when you balance it, right? And this is writing equation part. I'll tell you exactly how you do it in the lab also. Right? We have written this is Tollens reagent. Basic medium is because of this OH, and this is aldehyde. Now, what happens is aldehyde gets oxidized to form acid. That means this will form RCOO minus. It will form acid. This silver complex gets oxidized. This has got oxidized, so silver will get reduced. Yes, this is in the form of Ag plus. This will get reduced to form silver, that is Ag. It is in the form of a precipitate. How? Not exactly a precipitate, that silver coating is there, I will tell you. And this NH3 comes out in the form of gas, that is ammonia, plus water also is there. Fine. Now what has happened? Aldehyde got oxidized to form acid. Silver ion got reduced. It's a redox reaction. Silver ion got reduced to form silver mirror. This is also called as a silver mirror test. Silver mirror test. Okay, now what exactly you do in this is you take the test tube. In the test tube, you take some aldehyde, and to this aldehyde, you add Tollens reagent. When you do this in the lab, you add Tollens reagent to this and you have to heat it. When you heat it, on the inner walls of the test tube, you get the silver mirror. On the inner walls of the test tube, the silver mirror is deposited. Right? So silver ion Ag plus has got reduced, aldehyde has got oxidized. Right? So this particular reaction can be used as a test to distinguish between, very very important, please note down. It is used as a test to distinguish between aldehyde and ketone. Suppose you are asked a question, how will you distinguish between acetaldehyde and acetone? Any aldehyde or any ketone you can have. Aldehyde and ketone. This will give you Tollens test, this will not give you. Yes, if you are asked with reference to aromatic also, say you got this acetophenone, this and COCH3, this also acetophenone, aromatic ketone it is, and this you are asked to distinguish with acetaldehyde, then you will have this not giving the test, this one will give the test. This is ketone, this will not give the test. Fine. Okay, one more very interesting thing. Formic acid. This is one you have marked. Distinguish between questions are very important from aldehydes and ketone. Formic acid, HCOOH. And suppose you are asked with some other acid. Though acid we have not completed just now. So if you are asked between this, formic acid is the acid which will give positive Tollens test. It will give positive Fellings also. It gives positive Tollens test. So suppose you are asked to distinguish between formic acid and acetic acid, you cannot use sodium hydrogen carbonate test. So what you will write? Tollens test. Formic acid will give Tollens test. It will reduce that silver ion to silver, and acetic acid will not give this test. Note it down, children. This is the complete, Tollens test I have done here. So now I'll be talking about Fellings. The next test which we are discussing is Fellings test. Now what is Felling test? Fellings reagent we use here, children. Fellings solution. Fellings solution is a mixture of Fellings A and Fellings B. Now what is Fellings A? Fellings A is copper sulfate solution. It is copper sulfate solution. And Fellings B, it is actually, if I say Fellings solution, it is alkaline copper sulfate solution. Generally, if somebody asks you what is Fellings solution, you will say alkaline copper sulfate solution. So Fellings A is copper sulfate and Fellings B is alkaline. Alkaline means we add here NaOH. And to this NaOH there is sodium potassium tartarate. Sodium potassium tartarate, that is added to it. Then you must be wondering why sodium potassium tartarate here. Actually, when you mixed copper sulfate with NaOH, we are just making it alkaline. When we make this mixture, what will happen is you will get a precipitate of copper hydroxide. Copper hydroxide precipitate will be obtained. So that you do not get this precipitate, we are adding the sodium potassium tartrate. So this Felling solution is a blue color solution, but it is not having any precipitate. Now, I hope you have followed. Again I'll repeat. Felling solution is alkaline copper sulfate solution. Copper sulfate solution plus NaOH and sodium potassium tartrate is added. Now what is the function? What is the function of sodium potassium tartrate? To avoid the precipitation of copper hydroxide. If we just take this as Felling solution, you will get a precipitate. Such that you don't get a precipitate, sodium potassium tartrate is added. Now the other name for sodium potassium tartrate is Rochley salt. It is Rochley salt. Okay. Now you will take that aldehyde RCHO, you will take aldehyde. To that aldehyde, you will add this Fehling solution. You don't know what is tartrate, or you are having a mixture. You are using this as a Fehling solution. So in the Fehling solution, copper is in which charge? +2 charge, right? And it is alkaline medium here also. So you will write down in the presence of the alkaline medium OH minus. Okay, something is added there. Of course, it is NaOH, na? So this is OH minus. Now, what happens exactly when you are balancing? Of course, you will get here as 2 and here as 5. Okay. Now, what exactly happens in this? The same way as we did in tolerance. Aldehyde will get oxidized to form acid with the same number of carbon atoms, and Cu2 plus will get reduced to Cu plus. This is red color precipitate, or you can say red brown PPT is obtained. Reddish brown precipitate is obtained. Plus you will have water. 3 molecules of water when you balance it. Clear? Aldehyde gets oxidized to acid. Cupric 2 plus gets reduced to +1 and you get a precipitate. So this we added to prevent the precipitation of this CuOH taken, but when you are taking Fehling solution in aldehyde and heating it, you will get a precipitate. So how practically you do this in the lab? You will take a test tube. In the test tube, what you take is aldehyde. To this aldehyde, you will add Fehling solution. You will add Fehling's solution. When you add Fehling solution to it, you have to heat it now. On heating, it will give you red-brown precipitate. That indicates the presence of aldehyde. Very, very important thing now in this Fehling's test is this particular test is not given by aromatic aldehydes. Aromatic aldehydes will not be given this test. That means C6H5CHO, benzaldehyde, will not be giving this test. This will not be giving. Right? Suppose you are asked to distinguish between aliphatic and aromatic aldehyde. Suppose you are asked to distinguish between aliphatic and aromatic aldehyde like CH3CHO and C6H5CHO. You can use this Fehling's test. Okay, aliphatic will give, aromatic will not give. You can also use this as a distinguish between test in case you are asked to distinguish between aldehyde and ketone. Even then, aldehyde will give, ketone will not give. But in case 2 aldehydes are only given, then if both are aldehydes, one is aliphatic, another is aromatic, then you will be only using this Fehling. You will not be using tolerance, because tolerance is given by both aliphatic and aromatic. Fine till here? Very, very important class. Children, please practice this part very well. Another very, very important question that is asked is haloform reaction. Now, haloform reaction is given by all those groups which have, I'm just writing here, please note it well, CH3, CHOH group attached to C or H. I'll repeat, CH3, CHOH group attached to C or H. Or another possibility, CH3, CO group attached to C or H. They will be giving positive haloform test. That means if this side is talking about alcohol, right? This side is talking about carbonyl group, aldehyde or ketone, right? Now you can just observe, if it is primary alcohol, in primary alcohol only ethyl alcohol will give this as a positive test. If it is 1 degree alcohol, only ethyl alcohol will give. If it is 2 degree alcohol, then if OH group should be present on second carbon atom. See, from this side if I number, this is present at 2 position, then it will give. Okay, now this is clear. 1 degree alcohol may only one will give. Suppose you are asked here a question, how will you distinguish between methyl alcohol and ethyl alcohol? You will say haloform. Ethyl alcohol will give, methyl will not give. If you are asked a question like this, say how are you going to distinguish between 1 propanol and 2 propanol? Then you will say haloform. Propane 2-ol will give, propane 1-ol will not give. If OH is there at the second carbon atom, it will give. If it is there at 1 carbon atom, it is not going to give. This haloform test. What is haloform? I will be discussing. I am just mentioning first what, which one will give, which one will not give. Because it's a very important question in distinguish between. Now let's see about carbonyl compounds. Now from this, if you identify that if it is aldehyde, then it is only acetaldehyde which is giving this as a positive test. Only acetaldehyde, CH3CHO. And if it is ketone, then that ketone group, that is CO group, should be on second carbon atom. Same thing like 2 degree. If it is methyl ketone means methyl group is there to CO. That means CO is present at the second carbon atom, then it will give this as a positive test. Fine? Did you understand this? Very important. If it is aldehyde, only acetaldehyde will give. If it is ketone, if ketone is there at 2 position. For example, if you are asked, how will you distinguish between formaldehyde and acetaldehyde? You will say haloform test. This one will give the test, this will not give. If you are asked a question, how will you distinguish between say pentane 2-on and pentane 3-on? This is pentane 3-on. Then you will say haloform, this will give, this will not give. If it is methyl ketone, it is going to give this as a positive test. Fine. Now let's talk about what the test is. Let me talk about, if I start with ethyl alcohol, what is exactly haloform test? In haloform, what we use is, we use I2 and NaOH. I2 and NaOH. Sometimes instead of this I2 and NaOH, they can also give you NaOI. It means the same thing. Right? So, what you get in this is, you get a precipitate. This will be converted to the corresponding acid, the salt of it, and apart from that you will get iodoform, CHI3. That is a yellow color precipitate. Now what exactly happens in this, I will explain here. Suppose I take ethyl alcohol, right? Now this ethyl alcohol will first react with this iodine. Iodine has 2 functions to perform in this. Iodine will first oxidize this alcohol to aldehyde. It will oxidize this to aldehyde, right? Now, and this will form, of course, that HI. The second function of iodine is, this aldehyde will again react with second molecule of this I2, and this I2 will iodinate this aldehyde. That means these hydrogens will have now iodine. It will form CI3CHO. Okay, it will form that plus HI, right? So this will be formed. If you want to name it, it will be 1, 2. So triiodoethanol. And that you can specify the position of iodine also, right? Iodal, it is the other name for it, iodal. Now what happens to this is CI3 and CHO. Whatever we have taken here, that is CI3CHO. This now will react with this NaOH. The second function is of NaOH. Right? So what will this do? It's very easy to write the product. Just check here. From here one H, you take it from this particular place, and in between carbon and iodine you take. So what it becomes? CHI3. Now what else is left? Start from here. HCOONA. That means you get sodium formate. Got it? If you write the final product, also it is fine. Okay, when I am combining it, say, I will cancel this, right? This I will cancel. I will only write ethyl alcohol plus iodine plus NaOH will form the product. So I just told you to, how you can remember it, split it up. Now, instead of this is I have written for ethyl alcohol. Suppose instead of ethyl alcohol, you are asked for acetaldehyde. What will happen when this is treated with the iodine and NaOH? I hope the products are very easy for you to write. That means I am not starting from here now. I will be starting from here. Got it? So what will this iodine do? Okay, I hope you followed now. If this particular case, you'll be writing only these two equations. So what will be the equation? Aldehyde with iodine. First step is this aldehyde, CH3CHO, will react with iodine and it will form CI3CHO, that is iodal. Right? Now this iodal, that is CI3CHO, will be now reacting with this NaOH, and I told you one H from here you take between carbon and iodine, that is CHI3 plus HCOONA. One carbon you take it for iodoform and the other one will be the salt of it. Clear? This is yellow color precipitate. Many children in the exam, they make a mistake. Instead of CHI3, they write CH3I. Every description is correct. Yellow precipitate, everything is fine. But instead of this, they write down CH3I. One last reaction we will also write down if you are asked to write for acetone. Acetone. If acetone has to undergo iodoform reaction, then what? The oxidation part which I told you in alcohol will not be there if it is starting with carbonyl group. Okay, what products will be there? First thing, I told you oxidation will not be there in this case. So it will be CH3, that is iodination, so it is going to start. CH3CO I2, first it will react. This is going to iodinate it. That means it will form CI3COCH3. Plus of course that HI, right? Balancing is not that important in organic, so that I am not showing. So now what is there? CI3COCH3 will now combine with this NaOH part. In the second step, first step it is undergoing oxidation, iodination. If it is with alcohol, if you are doing with alcohol, first you will oxidize to aldehyde, then iodinate it, then hydrolyze it. So 3 steps. First oxidation, then iodination, then hydrolysis in the presence of base. If I begin with aldehyde, then if I am beginning with aldehyde, then I will be writing directly iodination and then base hydrolysis. So 2 steps. With carbonyl compounds, it will be only 2 steps, right? Now, I have started with this acetone. So, with acetone, what? First iodination, then base hydrolysis. What I told you, this H, you take it between carbon and hydrogen. That means you will have CHI3. What is left over? Start from here. CH3COONA. That means you will have sodium acetate form. Please pause it in between and note down. So this which I am showing you here as of now is including all. Okay, I think it is including all. You can manage it. This is with alcohol. You are getting iodoform, with acetaldehyde, iodoform, with this iodoform. So these questions are very important in distinguish between. So in the beginning, which I told you, which one will give a positive iodoform test. Please practice that well and please share it with your friends. Please put down some comments if you like it. Thank you for watching.